Hello, Seekers. Thank you for joining me for part 3 of our adventure in the Forbidden Lands with Rab the Explorer and Deedlit the Fighter. We're continuing our survey mission of the Harmsmore region, and where we left off last time, we were making camp, and Deedlit was keeping watch, and we had an encounter. We drew an encounter with some cord pilgrims, so we're going to get into that shortly. But a few notes before we begin. I am going to be using an app now for card drawing, and there's a few reasons for that. I do like drawing the cards, but shuffling them is a little bit annoying, especially because it can slow the play down for you all who are watching. And the other thing is, you need to shuffle every single time you draw a single card in order to maintain, your 52 card probability. So that was kind of bothering me a little bit. So I'm going to be using an app, and I will show you that now. So I have this little app here, and we can just draw a card, and it is shuffled every single time that you draw, so you have your correct probability of 52 cards every time. So we'll be using that as we draw cards. And then another thing that I have done is I have found some cards on DriveThruRPG. These were created for Forbidden Lands, and they give you all of your general talents and also your profession talents. So I have all the cards for the talents that we have with Rab and with Deedlit, and I think these will be really useful to be able to reference things quickly, and it will also help me to not forget things. That's a big part of playing RPGs, especially solo. I find you really need to try your best to not forget to do things, and having more things like cards, at least for me, it kind of helps a little bit with that. So nice thing to have. These are all double-sided as well, so we have more on the other side. Some of these are talents that we don't have, but all the ones that we do have, I've got right here. And I will leave a link to these in the description as well, so that you can find those cards if you would like them. And one other note is that when your characters are hunting, I didn't have Deedlit roll her usage die for the arrows, because she did hunt the deer. So we should roll a d12 for her. That was back in the first episode, but anyway, we should roll a d12, and that's an 8. So she will not deplete her ammunition down to what I think it's d10. I can't remember if actually you go d12 to d8 or if you go d12 to d10. So I'll look that up when we need to. But anyway, she stays at d12 for now, and I'm going to remember to check that as well when we are hunting. Okay, so let's get into our encounter here. And after a little bit more reading of the rules and considering how to do things with the Keep Watch, I think the best way to do it for me is that when you do have an encounter, basically as soon as you know you've drawn an encounter, then just to go ahead and roll the Keep Watch roll at that time before you've had any interaction with them at all. And then that way you can set up, if you're going to interact with them, or how you're going to interact with them, or what range you're going to be interacting with them. So when I put Deedlit or somebody on Keep Watch, I won't immediately roll for it, but as soon as an encounter has been drawn, then I will immediately roll at that time before there's been any interaction with the NPC or whatever the thing is. So in this case, we're going to need to roll for Deedlit's scouting, and then we're gonna be rolling that's going to be an opposed roll against the Court Pilgrims. So Deedlit, for her scouting, her roll is going to be, she's going to have 1 skill dice with her scouting of 1, and then for her wits of 3. So that's going to give her 4 here. And she didn't get anything there, so we could push this roll. And all we got was a Bane there, so she's going to take a point of wits damage, and she has basically failed to scout. So these NPCs are going to come up on us basically at a close range now, and we won't really be able to react to what we see from them. So these are going to be some Aslines. These are the Cord Aslines, and so we have their stats here. They're horseback riders, and they're not exactly armed to the teeth, but they look like they're pretty capable. They can certainly defend themselves if they need to, and they've got some decent equipment there. So we're going to roll on our hazard table to find out what their initial kind of reaction to us is. So let's take a look at the hazard table, and we'll bring up our card draw app here, and we're going to draw a card. Okay, so we got a 6 of diamonds. This is the red suit. So on a 6, red suit, they are mildly helpful. Okay, so they're not at least going to attack us right away. And because we failed our scouting roll, we'll say that they are at a short distance to us, and we have not had time to draw weapons or anything like that. And I think we could look at maybe we can look at their traits to kind of get an idea of their demeanor, how they are acting here. So we'll draw 1 for that. So we got a 9 of diamonds, and that is going to be polite. Okay, so they are polite, and they are mildly helpful, and of course they are humans as well, even though they're not exactly the same. They're not Alderlanders like Rab. They are at least humans, so I guess it is somewhat likely that they would have a little bit more friendly disposition toward us. So it says here that the Cords were once a nomadic people, and seeing as these are pilgrims, maybe these are some of the kind of holdouts of the nomadic lifestyle, and they're typically they strongly follow honor and loyalty among friends. So I think these are some people that we could maybe kind of befriend in a way. So maybe we can find out a little bit more information about who they are, and possibly take down some notes that could be useful in the future. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to see if they're willing to, kind of befriend us, basically act as, kind of new friends. And I think the odds are likely. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw 2 cards, and we'll take the most advantageous or the most positive one. So the first one is going to be a 3 of clubs. That's a black suit. And that would mean maybe, but the results are not clear. And then the next one is the 8 of clubs, a black suit, and that would just be a straight up no. Okay, so maybe, but the results are not clear. That's not going to help us out that much, really. So it's really not, we really don't have a very clear idea of how friendly they want to be with us. Maybe they're just simply focused on their task of being pilgrims and doing whatever pilgrims do, and they certainly are not hostile to us, but they just don't have really any interest in sort of getting involved with us and whatever we're doing. So I think we'll simply let them pass, and it's just kind of just a normal everyday sort of encounter, and we're just going to let them continue on. So I think maybe what would be useful though is to note down that we did meet Horde pilgrims that were at least mildly helpful and polite. So maybe if we ever meet some mildly helpful and polite Horde pilgrims in the future, it could be the same ones. Okay, so that's going to take care of that for right now. We have our camp set up. So we also had our encounter for the day. So we will not be rolling for any more encounters today. And Rab and Deedlit will be able to sleep peacefully tonight. And one thing that I wanted to do for both characters is I wanted to add a little bit more to their personality and appearance. And one way I'm going to do that is by using the Mythic Game Master Emulator 2nd Edition. And in the back here, they have a lot of different descriptors and things for characters. So what I actually want to do is I want to roll on here and see if we can come up with some random but somewhat fitting descriptors for Rab and Deedlit. Now I have kind of a loose idea in my head of what they look like, but at the same time I do like leaving it up to a little bit more random chance and not just being exactly how I want to make them look in my head. So I think it adds a little bit more uniqueness to them, and I do like the sort of random aspect of it. So I think for Rab here, we're going to go ahead and roll for his appearance here, and that is going to be a 96. So 96 is very okay. So I think with something like very, you're going to want to roll probably 2 times and then add the very to your second roll. If we flipped that to 69, what would we get there? Piercing. Okay. So I think we could go with piercing here. Would probably work out pretty well. So let's write that in there. So he has maybe kind of a piercing look, and I think that makes sense somewhat for an explorer because they are trying to look deeply into things. And now let's roll for an appearance for Deedlit, and that's going to be 23. So that would be different. Okay. So maybe kind of a unique look. And if we flip that to 32, what would that be? Familiar. All right. I think we'll go with different. And I think actually that makes sense with Deedlit. I'm just going to cover up this face, body, and clothing here because I like to have a more of a free form description. So she has a different look. So she's kind of her own person, kind of a unique individual, and that does make sense with her because she her parents are Frailers, and the Frailers are half elves that they typically deal in magic. There's some kind of magic users, and Deedlit actually from a young age she wasn't interested in magic. She didn't want to do anything with it, and she went the way of the fighter, and her fighter kind of persona is a little bit in opposition to her parents. It's a little bit of a rebellion for her, but she has since become, something of a full-fledged fighter. So she is used to this kind of lifestyle now, and I think that's something that makes her different. She is not like other frailers. All right, so I think we can roll for some more information here. We can have character descriptors, so that might be kind of fun to do, and also character motivations as well, personality. Let's try the descriptors and see if any of that works out. So we'll roll for Rab first here, and that's a 35. That's going to be competitive, and if we flip that to 53, it would be gentle. Yeah, I'm not sure if competitive would be the right one for Rab. I think he prefers more just the free lifestyle of being an explorer, and even though of course he wants to be a great explorer, I think he just prefers sort of the kind of rugged individual aspect of it. So he's not necessarily comparing his abilities with others to any great degree, or and even though he would like to make a name for himself, he's only interested in that just to further his own career, so that he can continue to be an explorer, because that's really what he likes to do. So I don't think that's going to work. Maybe gentle will work. So I guess we could say gentle there. And he is not exactly an intrepid fighter, even though he's not afraid to deal with combat situations if he has to, but he prefers not to, really. So now we'll roll a descriptor for Deedlit, and that's going to be 43. So she is disagreeable if we go with 43, and if we flip that to 34, she will be common. I think disagreeable might actually fit her to some extent, because as I said, she is somewhat in a rebellion against the magic user lifestyle of her parents, and she is different as well. So, but I think she's not unreasonably disagreeable. It's just that she is, maybe a little bit stubborn, and she likes to do things her way when she can. All right, let's go into. So we could also go for identity, and we could go for motivations and personality. All right, let's try personality here. So 45, so personality for Rab, what would 45 be? 45 would be greed. And if we flip that to 54, that would be interesting. I don't think greed fits Rab perfectly, even though he is a very pragmatic. He just wants to be successful on his own terms, so he's not necessarily, again, he's not competitive in the sense that he wants to be richer than everybody else. So I think we could go with interesting. That would work out pretty well, even though that's a little bit of a kind of a not very descriptive personality, but I guess it insinuates that he has some depth to his character there. All right, now let's go with a personality roll for Deedlit. This is going to be 67. Let's see how this fits. Obstinate. Okay, so she's getting all the different disagreeable, obstinate, and actually, no, what is that? That's 69. So let's see what she got here. Oh, perceptive. Okay. And if we flip that to 96, what would that be? Vocal. So perceptive or vocal? I think perceptive would probably be pretty good here. Or vocal. I think both of them actually could fit pretty well. We'll just put both of them down. We'll say that she is perceptive and vocal. I think they both fit pretty well there. And should we roll any more? Let's see. So we got traits and flaws would also be kind of interesting. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be good for right now. So we have a little bit more of an idea of these two characters, Rab and Deedlit, what they are like. So Deedlit is, you know, she's quite an individual. I think both of them really are quite individuals, and that could be one reason why they did meet under the same circumstances of delving a ruin solo, and they both enjoy the kind of the freedom of the explorer lifestyle. They're not necessarily interested in the city life or the things that go on with cities and towns, other than just to have employment. So, all right. So we have a little bit more background there about our characters, and now they can sleep for the night. And they do also need to eat and drink. And in this case, we don't have a little spring or anything next to us, so we can go ahead and roll for their water, and then we can also eat. We have 3 remaining deer meat, so we're going to eat 2 of those, and that third one is going to have to be tossed away because it has now been about 24 hours, and that meat is not going to keep if we don't have a chef or somebody to prepare that meat, and we don't have anybody skilled with that. And then also, yeah, that reminds me as well, the flint and steel. The flint and steel is now broken, and that would have to be repaired, which would require several hours. So probably like a good portion of a quarter day, and it also requires a roll. I'm forgetting right now what the roll would be, so I would have to look that up again, but I think it would actually be a crafting roll. So yeah, and no one has any skill in crafting, but if we check that against strength, both Rab and Deedlit have 4 strength, so that's something that we could have done when we get a chance. Maybe tomorrow, have one of the characters do that. So yeah, we can repair that flint and steel, but it was broken, so we won't be able to get any more +1 bonus from that going forward. So all right, let's have both of them drink some water. We're going to roll a, what do we got? We have D10 for water on Rab, and we have D8 for water on Deedlit. So let's roll a D10 and a D8 and see if we get a 1 or a 2. And we did not. So our water is going to remain where it is for now. And then we can check off the day 2 here. We have finished our eating and drinking. We checked that off. And so far we have surveyed 1 of 5 sites. So I'm going to keep track of our survey results up here as well. So now I need to advance to the morning. And that's going to bring me to another point that I have not talked about so far in the playthrough. And that is going to be the subject of experience and what experience the characters have earned, and kind of how I'm going to do that. So what I have decided for right now is that they're going to get 1 XP for the session, or for each day. So each day is essentially going to be a session, considering that we're doing a solo play. So they'll get 1 XP for each day. They'll get 1 XP for each hex traveled. And right now I'm going to give them 1 XP for each hex surveyed. But what I'm thinking about doing with that is, because it is a team effort, even though Rab is really the one who has the, typically does the surveying, because just due to his advantages with the roles, it is a team effort for them to work together. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to take 1 experience and split it. So actually, each of them on day 1 got 2.5 of experience, and I'm only going to split experience by 0.5s. I'm not going to go to anything smaller than that. So day 1 was 2.5 experience. Day 2, we got the experience for the day. We traveled 1 new hex. We failed to survey the site because the Druid Grove was there, and we were not able to get access to that area and really determine the resources and things available there. And we were not able to loot anything there either. So we're not going to be getting any experience for that. So day 2 is going to be just a +2 experience. And there wasn't any combat or any gold or anything earned, so there's not going to be anything for that so far in day 1 and 2. So we come into day 3, and each character has a total of 4.5 experience right now. And let's see if there's a good place to write that. I think we'll just put that up in the top corner here. So 4.5 experience for each of them. And I'm not really going to look at probably spending any of that right now. Maybe when we get closer to around 8 to 10 experience, we'll look at spending that. So I will keep tracking experience that way. Every morning we will take the tally of experience, and that can that going forward, that's how we'll do it every morning. And that is recommended in the solo rules to assign your experience every morning as the characters are beginning their day. All right, so now we're going to want to roll for weather here and see what kind of weather we're going to have today. And let's pull up the weather chart here, and we'll draw a card. So we got a Queen of Hearts here. So with a face card, we have a strong wind, so it's going to be a +1 to roll on cold table below, and -1 to all attempts to make camp. Okay. And then the rain here, we have a red suit, so there is no rain. So we have strong wind and rain. I'm actually going to use probably like a sticky note or something for this. So day 3 weather is going to be strong wind and no rain. And then because of this card here, this phase card, we're going to have a +1 to whatever our roll is down here. So we got a Jack, which is a phase card, and a +1 on that, I believe, would be biting. So we're now going to get biting cold, and we also have the -1 to camp roll. All right, so with biting cold, we might want to consider not leaving our camp, actually. Now, I wonder how that interacts with if you are just at a camp and you have a fire. I'm not sure how that's going to work, so I have to look that up. Okay, so kind of the best sense I can make of this is that obviously we do need to make our cold rolls. But if we do become cold, because if we just stay here by the camp, then we would be able to be warmed up again every quarter hour, I guess. So I think that's the way I'm going to try to play it. And I think due to the biting cold, I think the both characters are just going to stay in place. We're going to stay here in this hex here, and we're not going to be moving around. And we'll just try to pass the cold rolls for the cold checks. So we're going to have to roll every quarter hour, but every quarter hour, we will also be able to benefit from being in the camp and having our campfire. So if we do become cold, then the next quarter hour, the cold will go away. So we're going to be doing endurance here. So strength, and we got a 1 there, so that's going to be 4, 5. So 5 for Deedlit to see if she can pass this cold check here. And she does. She gets a 6, so she is not cold right now. And then Rab, I think he has the same stats as well, also 1 endurance. So let's see. Yep, and Rab is able to pass the cold check as well. But we're not going to really attempt to hike or anything. I think due to this weather, because of how potentially bad it could get. So I think what we could do is Rab could try to repair the flint and steel. That would be a good thing to do right now. And maybe we just have Deedlit do some hunting, and hopefully her hunting doesn't lead to anything too dangerous, but we'll see what happens. So for Rab, he's going to need to roll crafting, which is just going to be based on his strength. So he would have a roll of 4. And if he can make this roll, then he can repair the flint and steel. And he does not. Now we could go for, we could push the roll, but I think it's not worth it. And now the flint and steel is completely destroyed, so we will remove the flint and steel. So when you fail to repair something that's already at a 0 modifier, then it is destroyed. So the flint and steel has been destroyed. And now Deedlit will hunt. So she's going to make a scouting roll here, or is it survival? Let's see. Okay, no, she's going to roll survival. So she's got 1 skill and then 3 wits, so that's going to be 4 for the dice pool there. And she has done it. She's got a 6. And now she will roll marksmanship. She's going to get 3 skill dice, plus 1 for her crossbow, and then I think 5 for agility. So she's got a nice dice pool there. And she does get a 6, just 1, but she got a 6. But we also need to find out what exactly she's going to be hunting here. So we can't shoot it if we don't know what it is. Let's see what it is right here. All right, there's the hunting table. We're going to draw a card. We got a 10, and we are in plains and forests, so this is going to be a lynx. So we are in the plains, so we have found a lynx. Now a lynx has a -1 modifier, so I believe we only rolled 1 6. Yeah, so we only rolled 1 6, so we're actually going to fail to get that lynx, and we would have to push the roll, and we've already got 2 banes there, so I don't think it's going to be worth pushing the roll. So we'll just count ourselves lucky that we didn't get something like a bear that would want to eat us in this cold weather. But yeah, so not able to hunt anything there due to the lynx, the difficulty modifier of the lynx. But we do need to roll our usage die for the arrows, and so that's a D12, and we got a 7, so she will remain at D12 on the arrows. So at least we didn't lose any ammunition there, really. And okay, so not terribly successful there. Rab failing to fix the flint and broke, and then Deedlit failing to hunt anything. Maybe we just have both of them forage. So we're going to go now into the daytime. Oh yeah, but before we do that, we should also roll for an encounter, because we have not done that yet. We do need to check that every quarter hour until we at least have an encounter. So let's check for that first. And we've got a 7 of diamonds. And that is going to be... Oh yeah, we got to look at the general encounters. So let's bring up the general encounters in the Book of Beasts. 7 of Diamonds is going to be no encounter. All right. So now we can advance on to the daytime. And I think we'll have both of them. Both of them are going to forage. And that's usually a -1 in the spring, but we do have, I think, a +1 when we are in a plains area. Let's take a look at that, but that'll just cancel it out. So let's see what we have for a forage modifier. Actually, I think that was hunting that had a +1 in the plains. So forage actually has a -1 in the plains. So that's going to be a -2 to forage. But because both characters are doing it, it will be a +1. So it's just going to be a -1 to the foraging here. And let's see who would have the highest roll for foraging. So that's going to be survival. It's probably going to be Rab, I would think. Yeah, he's going to have survival of 3. So Rab would be rolling 3. He would be rolling 7, but we'll have a +1. So it's just going to be 2 skill dice there. And we have 2 6s, so we were pretty successful there with our foraging. And for foraging, we can find 1 unit of vegetables or water for each success that we have. So in this case, let's say that we found 1 of each. So we're going to add 1. We're going to add 1 vegetables to Rab there, and then we're going to upgrade their water to D12 for Rab, and I think it's going to go up to D10 for Deedlit. So she now has a little bit more water. So that's always good to keep up your stock of supplies, even on a cold day. And we also need to have both of them make a cold check again. And actually, I should have had them do that before they went and did their foraging. So my bad there. I have to remember to do that in the right order, because that would certainly affect their ability to forage if they had some reduced stats there. And also, I didn't erase their reduced stats from yesterday, so better do that. Okay, so we make the cold check, and it's going to be, let's see, it's going to be 5 for Deedlit, no, for Rab. And he does pass the cold check. And then Deedlit is also going to be rolling 5. And she does pass as well, so that's great. So that wouldn't have affected their foraging, so that's good to know. All right, I think we'll have them both come back now that we are going to be going on into the evening. And yeah, did we do an encounter check for the daytime? I think we did not. So we also need to do an encounter check for right now. So that's also going to be on the general encounter table. So let's go there and check that again. And we have a 9 of spades. And whispering can be heard neither distant nor nearby. All right. So that is somewhat nebulous there. Maybe some voices carrying on the cold wind today, although there really isn't any wind, but on the cold breeze. Now, normally we might be somewhat more curious to go look at what this is, but due to the weather, I think we don't necessarily want to go look and find out what it is. But let's say that, let's check the oracle and see, are they approaching Are they approaching us, or is the sound moving closer to us, or is it moving further away? So we got a queen red suit, and yes, but with some complication. So the sound is moving closer to us, and but there is a complication to that. Okay. What kind of complication could we have here? Well, I'm going to say that the complication is that we don't see anything. So the sound appears to be getting closer, but we cannot see anything. And maybe maybe this is not exactly what it appears to be. It could be something of a spiritual nature or a magical nature. So let's check the oracle for that. So is this something that is possibly spiritual or magical? And that is going to be a black suit face card, and that is a no, and there is some complication. Okay. So the situation gets more complicated. Yeah, I'm really drawing a blank here on what this could possibly be. Well, let's just check to see if this thing is hostile. So we got a black suit, and it is also a face card. So this is very dangerous, whatever this is. Okay, so that is really not good. So I think what we probably need to do here is I think the only thing that could fit this is that it's probably some kind of undead, something of that nature. So I'm probably going to look at the maybe the Book of Beasts or the Game Master Guide and see what kind of thing could fit this. Maybe a will-o'-the-wisp would be fitting for this. So drifting lights flicker at night are never a good sign. They're said to be ghosts of druids, raven sisters, and other holy figures who were burned to death for their religious work. They manifest themselves as huge floating skulls surrounded by flames, twisting by their undying hatred for the world. From a distance, they are easily mistaken for flaming torches. They are often bound to artifacts or other items that generate light and heat. They are vengeful creatures who attack their victims by luring them into bottomless swamps and other more or less natural death traps. All right. So this is a pretty scary encounter here, and because we were foraging at the time, we do not have any keep watch. So they basically come up on us, and they were to some extent they were concealing their light, so it was hard for us to see them. Well, whether it's one or two, I don't know, but it was hard for us to see it, and but we could only tell by the whispers. So I think that is going to be. I'm coming up on time here for now, so we're going to note down that we have a will-o'-the-wisp has come upon us here, and when we pick up in the next episode, we will deal with this deadly encounter here, and it's certainly been a pretty crazy day for our adventurers here, and we'll see if they're going to be able to survive for another one. So join me in the next one, and we will see what happens. Take care.